Hello everyone, it's Rebecca again. This is part 2 of the knee and gait, and now I'm going to show you how the knee acts during gait, so how it flexes and extends during the gait cycle. So I'll try and go step by step. I've already discussed the muscles previously. I'll still try and mention some of the muscles there, but I might just generalise and say quadriceps and hamstrings rather than each individual one that's involved unless specified. Okay, so let's start off with it. I'll be reading from my notes, it's always better to do it that way. So, we're on about the knee. So like we said before, this is flexion, that's extension. Okay, so I'll try and go further now. Okay, so initial contact. As we discussed, that's when the heel of your foot has contact with the floor. And when you've been walking to get to initial contact, your leg has gone from swing to initial contact. So it's gone from a flexed position into an extended one. Now your hamstrings at the back are eccentrically contracting to stop your knee overextending. So it's not completely dead straight and you might damage your knee. It just slowly, eccentrically contracts to stop full going over. So it still gives it a bit of a movement there. Loading response is when you have your foot flat on the ground and the knee starts to flex at this point. So it's gone from straight to flexed. Can you see that movement? So extended to flexed. And your quads, now because we're going into a flexion, start to eccentrically contract to stop you from going into an overextension. So they're controlling how much you have with this flexed position. So instead of going from extended to the lunge, it's your quadriceps that are stopping that. Just allowing it to have a slow flexion. Opposite toe off is when you're in this sort of movement off as well. Just lift these up so you can see the knees, whether you like to or not, it's happening. Okay, so opposite toe up is when you're starting to transfer your weight from, we'll use these as from your left foot to your right. So you see, it's just before toe comes off. Your knee's in a flexed position. So it's continuing to flex. It's gone from extended, flex a bit more because you're transferring this weight over. And your quadriceps are eccentrically contracting to allow your knee to become the spring. They're allowing it to happen. Mid stance is when you have your weight all on this leg now. Okay, you have this transference. It's a peak of stance phase, and you've got your flexion here. You don't want your leg too straight over because it's going to damage muscles and you don't want to damage your knee as well, so you have that little bit of bounce because the quadra are allowing it. At this point, your femur, your thigh bone, internally rotates, so it goes from being externally rotated at initial contact, and when you go into mid-swing, the femur internally rotates. At the same time, the tibia externally rotates. So at initial contact, your tibia was internally rotated, so it moves to a externally rotated position as the femur goes into an internal one. And this sort of unlocks the knee, if I remember correctly. Yes, because in extension your knee is locked, so it unlocks the knee to allow it to have that bounce and that movement. So when your knee's extended and locked, So that's when you have an internal rotation of the tibia and an external rotation of the femur. Is that correct? Yes. It locks the knee. It can't move, it can't do much bounce. Okay? So that's going on as well. So that's during mid-stance, so you've got a little bit of a flexion there. Terminal stance. So let's go to heel raise. Alright. Yeah. Heel raise is before terminal stance, so it's just before your foot goes off. So, terminal stance is coming to the end of the standing period on your right leg before it's removed from the floor. And so your body weight is moving forward, because now you've gone from the flexed position of your knee, and because your centre of gravity, your momentum is pushed over the knee starts to extend. So gastrocnemius starts. To fire, because you don't want to overextend the knee, you don't want to lock it too much, so it just starts a little bit. Because your centre of gravity is over the knee extends, gastroc starts to then fire because it doesn't like your knee being so straight. Pre-swing, opposite initial contact, sorry. So this is when you're in this sort of awkward movement to keep. Your knee's already moving into flexion. It's gone from extending, and it needs to go into this sort of movement. Okay? Because you're then going to be going into swing. So opposite initial contact, where you've got double support. Here you've got 2 feet on the ground. So flexion is already starting. And rectus femoris, your quad, starting to eccentrically contract to stop you from over-flexing and going into like a lunge. Okay? So then you're going into pre-swing, and it's just before you have toe up and into swing, so it's before swing. The knee's still flexing because it's gone from extended. Your other leg's now taking the brunt. See how it's your knee already automatically starts to flex. It's going into that position. And again, rectus femoris is controlling that so you don't go into a dip. And then toe off in initial swing. So toe off is when toe comes off and it's the start of swing. As soon as your foot's off the ground, that's the start of swing. Your knee is flexed and it continues to flex. Initially because the ground force is behind the knee, but then that goes, because it's, you see where your toes are, that's where your sort of ground force is on that foot, so your knee starts to bend. If it was in front, your knee extends. So because it's behind, your knee's flexing. That goes to 0. No more ground reaction force because your toe then comes off the ground. The knee is flexed. Now flexion in the knee initially comes from propulsion, but now because the hip's gone into neutral, it has that knock-on effect that we talked about in previous videos down towards the knee. Flexion is now passive. Just the hip goes bang, your knee just goes into the same thing. Rectus femoris would be eccentrically to stop it going into like a full high flexion. So we've got mid-swing. So when you're in the middle of swing here, again, the flexion of the knee here is due to the hips. There's like that knock-on sort of pendulum effect of the hip starting to going into neutral and then flexing. It's sort of bringing the knee along with it. So that's passive. There's no muscular action to do that. Before it's at sort of like 60 to 70 degree flexion here, and as the foot passes the opposite stance leg, so as it's getting towards tibia vertical, extension begins. You see, it goes from being fully flexed here to extending, because that knock-on effect from the hip that went to the knee to flex the knee now goes towards the foot to extend it out for initial contact, second contact. So a terminal swing, that the last bit before the foot goes down into initial contact, that's the last bit of swing, is when you have a rapid extension of the knee. So the swing leg is moves quickly for you to be able to catch your weight and walk, basically. You then have, because of the extension, it's sort of passive from the knock-on effect, and your quads are contracting then here because they extend the knee. Your hamstrings are eccentrically contracting to produce overextension of that knee, not to lock it too far round as it goes from passive. So to sort of simply walk through, initial contact, your knee's extended but it's going into flexion. Loading force, your knee flexes. You can see that. Going towards mid-stance, you have flexion here, so you've got that spring in your knee. As you're going, as the sort of centre of gravity moves, your knee extends. Your knee extends because the ground reaction forces are, your centre of gravity is over the knee, so the knee extends. And as you're transferring your weight from the right hand side to the left, the knee starts to flex because the ground reaction force in this leg is now behind the knee. And because the hip's flexed, the knee starts to flex passively. As it goes past the opposite foot, you then start rapid extension, ready for the next initial contact with the second line of double support. Now I hope that wasn't too complicated. I've had to stop halfway through because I've buggered up really at some point. So there is a bit of a jump halfway through this little tutorial. I hope you found it interesting. The next one is the ankle and footing gait, which is a bit more difficult. Well, yeah, because you have to talk about subtalar joints supinating and pronating at the different sections, so that might take you a while to do that video. But I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope it was a help for you. So I'll speak to you soon, hopefully. Take care.